Welcome to Creative Cousins. If you're new, we're two cousins and we make art. Today, we're actually two siblings and two cousins. Um, we have a guest on the podcast today. So,
Yes.
Josh, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Well, I'm Josh, Bethany's brother, who is 7 years old, no, 5 years older than her.
Yes, okay.
And I've been, well, living with Bethany was fun, but now that she's moved away, I'm by myself now. Anyway,
Well, Isaac was there for a while.
yeah, he was there for a while. And so I've just been continuing my art, just making more stuff, having some fun, having some
What
really tough creative decisions to make. And,
Hmm.
can you tell us, like for the people listening, what kind of art you do and what you're working on?
Well, that's funny because people categorize my art as being like spooky or he paints nightmares, as one lady told
That's so funny.
another person at an art show. Basically, I like painting realistic fantasy sci-fi type paintings.
That's cool.
So I don't like working abstract. I like working representational, but I also don't like just copying from a photo. What I like to do is I like to gather reference, sometimes sculpt in ZBrush, get realistic looking things that are not real, but I want to paint them.
Mm.
And that can be that's a very time consuming process, but I think it gives me very good visceral results.
So, you don't work entirely from imagination then?
No, I've started using this process where I have my imagination, right? But then what I do is I'll take that imagination into ZBrush and I'll sculpt something that is very close to what I imagined, and then I will set up the lighting. I'll rig up the lighting inside the program, and I'll take a few renders and I'll bring that over to Photoshop, and then I will work from there.
Oh,
Mm.
that's really interesting. I didn't know that's how you did it.
Yeah,
So
can
that
you?
that's a program? That's a
Oh yeah,
program, ZBrush?
explain to people that might not know what ZBrush is.
Well, thank you for giving me that on ramp. So what a ZBrush program is a 3D modeling sculpting program. So you on your computer, if you have like a tablet with a stylus, it makes it very easy to sculpt in 3 dimensions on a flat surface like a tablet. You can use the stylus to change your view, to change the camera around, and you basically are working on a virtual 3D sculpt, 3D model, and you can get very, very detailed and very,
Wow.
very precise with your lighting as well.
That's cool.
That sounds that sounds kind of complicated. I don't know. Did it take you a while to
It
like learn that program?
yeah,
Yeah, I've always like dabbled in that type of the 3D modeling stuff, but it's like too much work for me to. I don't have enough time to
like the painting
learn
that I'm
how
going
to do
to be
it.
showing you guys today is entirely I sculpted the entire thing and first, and then I set up lighting, and then I made a few render passes and got all the shadows in where I wanted them, and then I brought it over to the Photoshop, and then I
Oh.
could work on it from there and do more adjustments if I need to. And that's before you even get into the actual painting of the thing.
It makes sense that you have like a really well-defined process because you do have like a pretty like you can identify like your style.
Distinct
Like I feel like
style. Yeah, distinct style
yeah,
for
it's really
sure.
distinct. Like I feel like if I saw something and I didn't know who did it and it was one of your paintings, I would think of you, I guess.
Which
And
is
then you
hard
said
to
something.
do.
Yeah, that's so hard. I'm struggling with that right now, actually, because I just want to try all different things, and I haven't really found like my own process yet that I like to stick to like the same things every time. I still like mixing it up a lot. one of the things you said is that your paintings are representative.
What I mean
Can you,
is that they're representational. Their forms are representing something in real life,
so
or
they have meaning then? Like there's,
they have meaning. Then, like I involve figures, like people. That's representative. It's not abstract. It's
got
not
it.
like a um.
Yeah.
It's not like a stick figure. It's not like some squiggly lines and a circle
It's
and two
proportional
dots.
and stuff to
It's
actual.
I try to make it as much realistic as possible, but it's not realistic. But
Right, because
it's
yeah, I know what you,
because it's not real, but
yeah.
it's representational. Like you know what that is immediately
Okay.
upon looking at it. You know.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
That makes sense. Thanks for explaining that. Um, I guess we can go ahead and show the painting now, and we can talk about it. It's really interesting. I feel like, are these beings like offering their hearts to this angel? It looks like they're all holding like,
It could
um,
be an angel. Who
I
knows?
don't know if it's hearts. It looks kind of like an angel. I mean, it has wings. They're like everyone is like holding, like they're like ripping out their hearts for someone or something.
Yeah, it looks like they
What do
are
you think?
offering something to some
Yeah.
deity of some kind. But
That's your impression too,
I
Beth,
mean,
or
yeah, it's really dark, and you could tell that it's probably, I don't know, this person isn't the person that they are offering to doesn't seem like a very welcoming to me, but but nonetheless, people follow. So that's what I would say.
yeah, I mean, I see now that they're holding like a crown and a spear. What would you say inspired this work for you, Josh?
I think what inspired this was I was seeing a lot of men who I mean this is a perennial problem. This is a continual problem where there's this thing called unrequited love. And it is the fact that there exists people who love someone who doesn't love them back. And it doesn't matter how much love you give them, they will not love you. You cannot convince someone to love you by how much love you have for them. It doesn't work that way. And this goes to all facts. It goes especially to like men who find these OnlyFans girls who give everything to them, and
Yeah.
in the hopes that she will be with them. And no, it doesn't happen. Even if
Yeah,
it's
so
like
it's like they're like putting them on a pedestal, like they're worshiping them almost.
yeah, this happens, and yeah, this happens all the time. And it also has a kind of religious undertone as
I
well
thought it was a
because
religious thing for sure.
It's a religious thing. Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw it because of the wings
it
and
also
the
has religious undertones because I like dabbling in religious symbology because it's very powerful. And
yeah, like that painting you did of me with the apple.
yes, 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 yes.
That one was
And
like I feel like even more obvious religious undertones to that one.
yeah, yeah. I like the themes, and what I just said applies here, but what also applies is
Oh, we have another special guest.
is a religious devotion, and it can be said that some people will find like I was just reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and in the book there's this young man who is in love with a woman, and the woman gets killed, and he feels like his life is not worth living, and he just wants to end himself. He just wants to throw himself off a bridge or something, and he worshipped that woman just like how these lost men worship this icon, this angel.
Yeah, I think it's powerful that you said lost because if you're worshiping the wrong thing, you definitely are lost. I think that's just like interesting to tie those two things together like that. Okay, I'm just
Araya
gonna.
really wants to be part of this
She's really
conversation.
distracting right now. I just pushed her off. Sorry, sorry, Araya. Have you had any other influence in your work from other artists, or would you say this is all just things you've seen in your own personal life?
I don't really have individual artists. I have well, that's not true. Um I really like the Hudson River School cadre of artists, and they're basically like these 19th century artists who painted mostly the West and environments and landscapes,
Yeah.
and they have that majestic kind of atmosphere, and there's like a lot of atmospheric depth, and it's just
Oh,
I like yeah,
you said Hudson River School, right?
yes,
I just Googled it. So I could
yeah,
Yeah,
have
it's like
some
really
idea of.
famous like paintings of like landscapes and
Oh, I
nature.
see.
yeah. They're a big influence to me, and as well as Baroque painters like Caravaggio
Carpaccio.
and Orazio Gentileschi,
For sure.
That's
Rembrandt.
awesome. I'll have to look all these up later. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh yeah, and Ivan Ivavovsky. His seascapes are really strong. And I always
Yeah.
thought that going abstract was not for me. And the reason for that is when I look at an abstract painting, I don't feel any kind of way. I basically feel nothing. Um,
Yeah.
and the part
That's
of
a good
that is
point.
because it's not hijacking your brain's symbols to make a point. Like if I make a painting of a person being stabbed, that immediately gives you a visceral reaction. Oh, that person's being stabbed. That's terrible. I would feel terrible if I
Yeah.
was stabbed. If
Yeah.
I make a painting with like a couple boxes and a line and then some squiggles around it,
Shout
I
out
don't
to
know.
abstract expressionism.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
could be anything. Maybe it's containing. Maybe it's about containment. Maybe it's about building things with boxes. And yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing to latch onto, and that's why I like to paint realistic things.
It makes sense that you would like to paint things that you like to look at. Have always kind of like felt the same about abstract. Like it's cool to look at and like cool as like a decoration maybe, but like I just never really know what I'm looking at. So,
You
Well,
know,
I subscribe to the school that painting should be beautiful, and I like the aesthetics of beauty. And if a painting does not look beautiful, then I don't want to look at it. That's just me, but I like looking at beautiful things, and I like painting beautiful things. But the painting I'm making right now that I can't show you is not that beautiful, unfortunately. But it's aesthetically pleasing.
well, that's basically the same thing. As long as it's beautifully rendered, then that's fine.
yeah. I mean,
I don't think so, but that's you.
I remember you telling me you were kind of agonizing over like the color palette for it, I think.
I was, yeah. Kind of still am, but it's done now. Well, the agonizing part is done
Yeah, like the planning phase is over.
because I can't. If I try to agonizing over it more and do more changes, I think I could just keep going and going and going. I had to just make a choice to stick with it.
Yeah. We've talked about that before in the podcast is like how to know when something is finished.
Right.
It's tough. Nothing can actually be really finished. You could keep working on it if you really want to. Working on
I
things
think
forever.
I think there's diminishing returns on working on something beyond its okay date. Like
Yeah.
when the painting is decent, you can keep working on it and you can make it better. And you can keep working on it and make it even better. But then 10 hours of work only makes it 1% better at some point. And
That
then
makes sense.
100 hours of
Like
work makes it 1% better. And then 1,000
it
hours of
only
work makes it
has
1% better. So
it
you
only
can't
has so
make it
much potential,
right. There's only so
basically.
much you can polish the painting before like no one notices the new moves you're doing to it. So it doesn't matter that you're making it better if no one notices the changes that you're making. So in that way, you just want to keep working on it till it's satisfying to you.
That's fair. But I would
Good
like to
perspective.
come to the defense of abstract art just a little bit. Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right. There's a little,
You don't need to do that.
there, there is
There's
something
plenty of defense
real
already. You don't need to do
nice
anything.
about Have you seen a Rothko? Okay.
Yes, I've seen many Rothkos.
Not me Googling that.
We talked about this on the
That
podcast,
guy was
Allie.
not smart. That guy was not smart. I can tell you why, but that'd be a tangent.
You don't like to look at those large paintings and just be like, wow, those bright, bold colors, not always bright, but those bold colors don't just make you feel something.
A lot of those colors are not bold. They're very muted.
Okay, well, some of them are bold.
Some of them are bold. But like saying like, oh, they're all bold is
Okay, whatever. They're big.
they're very big, yes.
They're very big. Anyway, sometimes they're fun. Okay, this is what my problem is. Sometimes I want to make something abstract, and I don't.
Yeah,
I gotta
because
go all over the place.
sometimes you want to just do like a fun, like stress-free, like, painting, right? Like sometimes you do that, right?
Just yeah, they're just sometimes be aesthetically pleasing to look at. They're just nice to look at. Sometimes you need things that are nice to look at. Okay. All right. I'm done defending abstract art.
All right.
That wasn't a very good defense, but we can move on.
Okay.
Have you, or what's the most meaningful feedback you've ever received about one of your works?
I don't think I can point to a single instance that was the most meaningful, but I can say is that when I was working at the Wadsworth Athenaeum, there was an encounter with a collector from California. And he was talking about how he was looking at my work and he was like, oh, wow, it's very interesting. It belongs in the gallery, but no one wants to live with this. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Why would someone want to put my painting in a house where everyone can see it and evoke those emotions that
Right,
are
because
not
generally you
present?
don't want people to feel bad when they're coming over to
Exactly.
visit you.
Or not bad, but just like disturbed.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
You
where
walk
you're
by
walking down
that
the hallway
hallway.
towards the bathroom and you see my painting, you're like, oh God, I just want to
so
pee in
dark.
peace. So he said, well, not what you gotta do is you gotta find the space between the very pleasant works and your work and find a medium where in between where you can make work that some people want to actually buy but that is actually fulfilling to you at the same time. And that was very interesting for him to say, and I think that is the lane I should go in if I want to make money doing this.
Yeah. Well, some people have bought your prints that are disturbing, the disturbing prints, right?
Well, I'll tell you something about that.
Okay.
The red woman with the 5 arms for a head?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. That's been the most successful print I've sold.
Wow.
That's
And
really
are they the
interesting.
small prints or are they the bigger prints?
Well, the small sell the most,
Well, yeah.
period. But
You think it's because it's just like a character?
I think it's because it's a powerful woman who's
Yeah.
also hot and also
That's all you need in
fierce
life, right?
and also fierce, and that's why people like it because it's empowering to them. And then
Yeah, I could see that.
and then also the one that I've shown this podcast, that's my second most popular print.
Yeah, have you been getting pretty successful with you've been like doing the art shows? What are they? Where do you sell the?
Yes.
It's
Art
called they're called
fairs.
Art
art
fairs, yeah.
fairs.
Sorry, art not art shows, art fairs.
Well,
I was saying the same thing for a while.
the last art fair I went to, I switched it up and I moved. It's Open Studio Hartford, and I do it every year. And this year I decided to have my stuff set up in art space, which was a mistake because parking wasn't free, and it's just a building with like 4 floors of artists, and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot more work that is more friendly to be hung in a house there than my work. So it's like, okay, well, I didn't
Yeah, I
make
guess
much money,
that makes
but
sense because those people are usually going there to get something for their house.
and then but last year I went to Parkville Market, which is a different venue for Open Studio, and I made a lot of money there. So
Wow.
maybe that people who are going places and and are already spending money at that place are more likely to spend money on art. I don't know.
I
But
think there's
also
something to that.
parking was free there. So and there was a lot more traffic.
Yeah,
When you're on the
definitely.
in the second or third floor of a building, you're just not getting a lot of traffic.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes total sense.
Like end of the story. If you are not on the first floor, you don't get traffic. And I should have realized that before, but
Well,
it
it's a
is what it
learning
is.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
Um,
find what place works for you.
yeah.
Yeah. You have to find your market.
It seems like you've been getting better at that though, like through trial and error. So is that the best place that you found, or have you found other avenues of promoting yourself?
I haven't really.
It's tough out here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to the Halloween Spooktacular in Winstead in October, and I did well there.
That makes sense.
Sense.
Halloween, spooky. Yeah,
Hmm.
you gotta just find your demographic that will that will buy your
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah,
That's
you have to meet people halfway.
so you find mostly in-person events have been working the best. Have you sold anything online or anything?
Not online, but I have. There's this consignment shop called the White Rabbit in West Hartford. I think it's West Hartford. It might be Hartford, but I have to look up the address again. But I've sold an original painting there, and I've sold a couple prints there.
How much of a cut do they take from that?
The original painting, I wanted $600, and they sold it, and I got $600.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Hmm.
they didn't take a cut.
They took a cut, but I wanted 600,
Oh, but
and
you.
they sold it for a certain amount of money, and then I got the
Oh,
600.
so they didn't tell you
Got it.
how much you
So
wanted,
they like
how
do
much
their
you thought you
No,
own
sold.
they
marking up.
did. No, they did. They sold it for 800, and
Oh,
they pocketed 200, and I pocketed 600,
oh, okay. So
which is better than not selling it at all. So
Yeah. Can you tell me about a painting that taught you something unexpected or that you were like shocked or surprised how it came out?
like I was saying, the Dream Girl, the painting with the red woman with the 5 arms for a head. That was the most surprised I was, because when I started the painting, I'm like, all right, let's do an experiment. Let's see what happens. So I started doing like an abstract black and red background, and I was using the palette knife, and I was being very free with it, and I was having having like experimenting with like the texture of the canvas, and like seeing the red peek out from the black when I smear the black paint on it with the palette knife, and I just see like these cool patterns emerge and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'll just keep doing this. And then I put some like amorphous kind of like like a little abstracted pile of bodies in the background.
casual pile
And
bodies.
then
Got to go pilot bodies.
You
and
never know when you
then
might need that.
and then after that I had the background. Then I'm like, whoa, now I'm gonna put this now I know what to do. So I had my girlfriend at the time like pose for me, and I had her move her arms in different locations around her, and then I take all these photos of her, and then I go into Photoshop and I just move the hand that's here, and then put it over here, and then do some other things, and then I just
And like
remove their
overlay
head.
it.
I remove their head from her body, and then I just inserted different various positions of her arms where her head ought to be, and then I basically painted that onto the background of my canvas, and that got me what I wanted to do. It got me what I wanted. And I
So
was
do you
very
find
careful, and I was very careful to paint white and then coats of red
Mm.
where the person is, because otherwise the black from the background would dull and degrade the vibrancy of the red that I'm going to be that of her body. And that was as a technique that I picked up when I was working on a different painting. But oils are very transparent, so you want to make sure that the layers sing together and not are discordant. So you want to make sure that if you're going for a super 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 bright vibrant color, that you like paint white underneath it, and then paint the bright color on top of that, because that'll shine through, and it'll make the light that hits the paint hit the white and then come back through, and it makes it little like it glow a little bit maybe. And so you want to have some of that effect. So that's what I did with that painting. So she really stands out. I didn't need to add any white to the paint. She was very bright and vibrant it's herself, and so she pops out from the background.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I was thinking about when you're painting, like you somehow still, even though like the subject changes and everything, even when you go from like your bird paintings to like your spooky paintings, whatever you're doing with your when you're actually painting, it still looks like your style. It still looks like you did it, even though it's a completely different thing. Like it's a bird. It's literally painting the
yeah.
bird.
Is that
But
because of like the tools you use or
Well, I always use the same tools, and I always use the same process. And the process is working slowly, layer by layer.
yeah, because
And I don't do a whole lot of blending, but I do blending, but I don't do a whole lot of blending.
have you
And
changed? You haven't changed
I
it.
just the first layer is usually a flat color and some blending, but it's usually a flat color. I try to get close to the color, but it doesn't have to be perfect to the color, the finished color after all the layers are done. And then I just build layers. So usually most paintings have four layers: the underpainting, then the second layer, which is like where everything ought to be. I just block in where everything is. And then the second layer is getting all like the shadows and the highlights. No, not the highlights, but like all the like I try to get like all the values and the color I get closer and to the where the final color matching is going to be like, and the final shadows are going to be like, but it's not refined yet. And the third layer, I do the most blending, and the third layer, I try to get as close as possible to how the finished surface ought to be. And if there's a layer after that, it's usually dry brushing, the highlights and the deep shadows if I need to, or some like extra glazing to get some extra effects. And that's about it.
Yeah, because your style doesn't even like your really old stuff hasn't really changed. Doesn't like look much like your. It still looks like you did it. So you must have not changed that process very much, because which is good. I'm impressed. I could never stick with one thing, so I'm jealous. So good job.
I just found something that works for me.
yeah, I think it's really a long process finding what works for you.
We're
At
always
least for me
saying
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I've
know,
been painting for 12 years, so
makes me
Important
feel better.
important question. Now, Why does acrylic suck? Why do I hate painting with acrylic paint? Why is oil paint so much better? I just want to hear it. What do you think?
Oils is just superior.
Why did you say something like that? Explain.
What is there to explain?
Was Why do you prefer oil painting? Why is it superior? People
Well,
don't.
it's like painting with butter. You can't beat that. First of all, it's like painting with butter.
So it's a texture.
Second of all, you got all these kinds of mediums. You got drying oil, linseed oil. You got linseed oil. You got thickened linseed oil. You got your paint thinner. I like using Gamsol because it's odorless. I mean, it's not odorless, but it does not stink up the room. It's very nice paint thinner, and I can just change the way the paint works by adding Gamsol and linseed oil to it in various proportions. And when I'm working on a painting, and I'm first working on a painting, I'm not putting much linseed oil into it. I'm putting more Gamsol. I want to be thinner because you want thick over thin when you're painting.
Yeah.
You want all your thick layers, a lot of oil in it, to be the top layer and not the bottom layer. Because otherwise, you get some weird effects
Yeah.
that'll emerge over time and cause problems. And I like oils because I can change how I can, if I don't add any like drying linseed oil to it, which is designed to make the paint dry faster. If I don't add that, it stays wet for a few days because I work thin and it stays wet for a few days, so I can just keep going back to it if I really need to.
Yeah.
I've always
And
actually wondered about that. I've always
and
wondered about that because,
and
like, how do
even
you do
if
it fast enough?
even if I add drying oil to it, it won't dry that day. It'll be dry. It'll be dry for the next day, but it won't be dry for the rest of the session. So I can wipe it off if I need to 3 hours after I put it on the canvas or put it on the panel.
Yeah. I
So it's endlessly forgiving.
I still don't. Yeah. For me personally, I don't know how people use acrylic paint. I do it at work because we work with kids, but I can't. And you need it to dry fast, but that's literally acrylic paint is so annoying for me because it dries so fast, and I'm like, it's the most frustrating medium in the world. But that's so I just wanted
This
to.
is like so interesting for me to hear because I like have never painted with oil or anything. So I'm like, this is all news to me.
Actually, I do have another question. Do you think that if you switched, you were like, you know what, today I really just, I have a hankering to paint watercolor. Do you think that your style would still look like your style?
No,
Okay.
I've done that. It wasn't fun.
Okay.
The less said about it, the better.
Because, maybe
Um,
there's something you do that would still work with other mediums, right?
Oh, I think watercolor is worse than acrylic
How about
I mean,
gouache?
for me to work with. I think watercolor is still a very nice and fine medium in general. It doesn't suit me at all.
Yeah, you're not a watercolor boy.
No.
it's like I feel like the times that I've painted with watercolor, it was just like so difficult to control it.
Actually,
Yeah, watercolor is very, very difficult to control. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I'm
got
learning
frustrated trying to
techniques.
paint with watercolors.
I'm learning techniques that I never really did before, being an art teacher now. So I'm using mediums that I hardly ever touch, and I am like markers. The only reason why I started using markers because I started using markers so much in at work. So now I just use markers. Now I love markers. Now I have markers everywhere. Markers. Markers. They're right next to me. Anyways, it's just funny.
You're getting into the world of markers.
Markers.
Do you have those high-end markers?
I have a couple high-end markers. They're all alcohol-based markers for the most part. Except these are watercolor based. These are water based. So these are the ones that Allie gave me. I realized that they're water based. So they're not as vibrant, but they're still good. That's my alcohol based ones. But I
I'm glad that you
struggle
found
with
something
this.
that is like
Yes.
fun to do as well. Because sometimes you just, should be able to make stuff just for fun.
Yeah, the marker ones are just mostly for fun, and I mostly just do like pretty stuff with the markers because it's just fun to. But it doesn't look anything like my charcoal stuff, so this is what I'm dealing with. Nothing looks anything like it, so.
Yeah, on my side of things, I'm just like kind of still struggling with like situations I would use flash in versus no flash and like changing my mind constantly about what I like. Is there anything you want to share, Josh, before we move on to the final words? Share or ask us or anything you want to say?
No, I don't really have anything to share.
Anything you want to plug?
We always wrap. Huh?
Anything you want to plug? Like website.
Oh, yeah. We can plug. We'll plug his website right here.
I just added a shop to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Perfect. There you go.
I ship to the continental United States.
Are you still using Etsy, or are you just using the shop?
I think I'm gonna retire Etsy.
I've been thinking that for a while. It's kind of annoying.
All I get are scammers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I made
yeah,
some
sucks.
sales, but it's just, yeah.
There's people trying to get my email address for some reason.
That's creepy.
I don't want to talk here. Can we talk on Telegram? Like, what?
I know.
Get outta
Yeah.
here.
A lot of them do that. It's so annoying.
Go
with
away.
WhatsApp.
Go away. Just buy something. Just
that's
buy something.
that's really weird.
You
Why-
can't trust any of those messages. I get a lot of spam on Etsy.
Can you lower the price of this? It's really expensive, and it's like it's the price. Do you wanna?
I hate that.
Do you wanna
Oh wait, let's
fight over it or something?
let's talk about that for a minute because that happens to me too, and it's like real people are like people that are really looking like for a serious person to do their photos, and I'm like, it's just so odd to me because do you walk into like a coffee shop and ask for like a discount like on your coffee
Some people
ever
probably
like
do, but
like or do you ask for like half of a coffee for half the cost? Because like people ask me for like half the services for like half the cost.
Well, the thing is, you're not selling your services for $5 a pop.
That's true, but it doesn't have to be coffee. It doesn't have to be coffee,
anything. Yeah.
but do you go to like a
Home
mechanic
Depot.
and ask him to like fix your car, or do you hire a plumber and
Well,
then like
actually, my dad does haggle with the mechanic.
he does? Oh,
Yes.
I guess this is maybe
Yes,
not a
he'll be
good
like,
example.
can you break it down to 1,600? And they
okay, but what about like
I'll do it cash only. I'll give you. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, same thing with cars. People do it with cars.
Oh,
We
yeah,
shouldn't
Dad-
do that with artists, okay?
I mean, I just like,
yeah, we're special.
This is our art. It's meaningful.
Well, haggling is
yeah,
kind of fun
I mean
for me.
like
I don't mind it.
If you're respectful
I do
about
not-
it, I guess, maybe, but
I guess every person is different. I don't like it because I'm like, I'm already operating at exactly what I need to be able to keep doing this. So I don't like it.
It's like it's already discounted, buddy.
right.
it's-
Go
it's-
somewhere else then.
It's as low as
like,
I can go.
I'm trying to think of like a better example, but like I feel like when it comes to like your photos, if it's like a really important thing, like if it's I want to work with people who it's really important to them. So I don't want to like work with someone who doesn't think it's that important.
yeah.
So I guess like if you're hiring someone to like fix the pipes in your house and you don't want them to like fuck up your whole house, like I don't know, me personally, I wouldn't be haggling with them because I would be like, no, please do a good job. Like,
Right.
I don't want you to cut corners or use like, bad materials or cheap materials or whatever because
Right.
I want to deal with like a flood or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for me, someone messaged me on Etsy and like this is a really popular drawing I did, and and I haven't outsold it yet. And it's not even that expensive. It's just a 11 by 14 charcoal drawing. Like, and I say not that expensive, but for me, it's not that. I mean, like as far as like art, original art goes, it's like $300 or whatever. And this guy's like, give you $150 for it. I'm like, no.
50% discount.
And you know, and he's like, well, just let me know whenever you want to sell it for $150. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna sell it.
You're gonna be waiting to the end of the universe for that.
Like, I like it. I actually personally like this one, so I don't want to get rid of it for like a small amount of money.
Like, it's more valuable for you to just keep it and have it for yourself.
Yeah, I
At that
like it.
point.
So no, and it's a good one. I
Right.
think people like it too. So
I have so many paintings now that I need to find a way to sell or something because you just
So-
take up so much space.
But do you ever
Oh,
feel
well,
like sad when you sell, like, I guess question for you guys, do you ever feel sad when you sell like an original artwork, like you'll never have it in your hands again, or no?
There's a little bit of
depends.
that. There's a little bit of that. My cedar waxwing, when I let that go, I felt like, let that go too cheaply. Oh no. Well,
It
at least someone is
depends.
enjoying it. At least someone is enjoying it.
It really depends on the thing. Depends. But also, like, if I have a print of it already and I have photos of it, I can just look at it again. I can look at it again. It is like the original, but you know, that's just depends. There was one
Depends
that's,
on probably what it is.
yeah, there was like sometimes if like, especially if they really wanted it, and I'm like, you know, it makes you feel good. It's like, all right, it's going to someone that I think hopefully will keep it for a while.
I mean, otherwise it would just be in my storage.
That's true.
'Cause I don't have room to. I don't have room to hang things. So,
Yeah, do you have a storage unit? Like, do you rent one?
No.
Where do you keep everything?
They're in plastic envelopes, leaning against the wall.
Oh, there's in your room.
Yes.
That must be hard.
Yeah, it is.
I'll
hard
never
when
have
I
to know
walk
that
out.
struggle.
Yeah.
I
Because
have
this
furniture
is
all over the
where
place.
all my work is.
No, there you go.
Humble brag over here.
I have like 4 of these.
Yeah, but the nice thing is I can. Wait, is your original work digital, or is it what?
Some of it is digital and some of it is film, but when I
Oh
get
yeah.
film, like everything pretty much is digital because like you can get film scans and then just put them like on a drive.
You don't really develop your.
I don't develop my own film. I send it to a
Okay.
lab.
Okay.
Have you developed film before, Josh?
No, that's
I'll learn eventually. I think it's really cool. Like, I feel like I could actually like probably do it like right in this room, like on like the staircase. I could just block out like all the light and like put up like a big like curtain, like a light blocking curtain or something. But it just like seems like a lot of steps, and I'm not in a place to like learn it right now. I think it would be fun eventually, though.
There'd be a lot of trial and error, so you know it'll probably.
I know
You have to
that's
have
what
a lot of
scares me. Is
time.
like, what if I take like this awesome photo I'm so proud of, and then I just like completely destroy it? Like I would be so crushed. I guess it can happen anyway. Like at the lab, like mistakes happen, but
Yeah, well, I think
So-
maybe if when you eventually don't have to do your nursing job, then you'll have more time, hopefully, to be able to experiment a little bit more.
that's the goal.
Yeah, tell me about it. But what we usually do at the end of our podcast is we share a childhood memory of some kind.
Yeah.
So, as the guest, you may have the floor.
a childhood memory.
No pressure. Hopefully involving Allie as well.
Okay. Well. Okay.
But it doesn't have to.
Or it doesn't have to do, it can be about
And
Isaac. For all
take your
you-
time because we can always like cut out the time that
Yeah.
Alright.
you spend thinking about it. Beth does edit and post things.
I have a very core memory. Okay, and that was when we were living in a timeshare in Rhode Island for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Isaac, he brought back from the beach. He's hunting for crabs, So he brought some.
Classic.
He got some crabs in this bucket, and that was great and
I
everything.
remember he used to love that.
Oh yeah, he
I
Classic
loved
actually remember
Isaac.
that.
he
That
loved
was
getting
like his
crabs.
favorite thing.
Yeah. Nowadays he's getting crawfish in the river, but back then he was getting crabs in buckets. So he filled this bucket with like these crabs, and then for some reason the mom and dad was like, yeah, okay, you can bring that in the car and you can bring it home, I guess. So Isaac
I
is
do remember
just
that actually.
he just leaves the bucket full of crabs outside in the front yard like it's no big deal. Like, okay. And he just doesn't deal with it at all. He just forgets about the crabs in the bucket. And we're in like a suburb. And there's this bucket of crabs just trying to get out, but they can't get out. They're just. It was horrifying.
So sad.
When you think about it, it's horrifying.
It's really horrible.
And then after a couple days, there's a smell, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. All the crabs died in this bucket.
Oh, I don't
Away
remember that
from the ocean.
part.
I'm crying.
Of course you
Um,
don't remember it. You were there.
Yeah, I was
Would
there,
you-
but I probably don't remember it for a reason. Probably suppressed this memory because that sounds traumatizing.
They probably didn't even notice. You're like, oh, it just smells fishy here. Whatever.
I do remember bringing crabs home, though. I do definitely remember bringing crabs in the car. I just unlocked that memory.
Also, I remember another core memory is Tina and Janet. They found mussels in the ocean, and they brought them back. And then Grandma and Grandpa, on my mother's side, started like cooking them, and they were opening them up and cooking them, and then like refining like little baby crabs inside the mussels, and just stirring it around.
What?
That was also weird.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing that happens.
That's funny. I do remember the mussels. I have a weird memory of someone getting excited about mussels, but I don't remember the cooking part and the crab part.
I have a vivid memory of Grandma cooking octopus
Yeah,
on Christmas or whatever. Like I
Yeah,
remember standing in the
Christmas.
kitchen and looking at the pot of water boiling on the stove, and the tentacles were like hanging out over the side. It's like
Yeah.
a visual I'll never forget.
right.
I also remember Grandma used to always give us treats all the time. Like every time we would go over, like she was
Oh,
always
yeah,
giving us stuff. Like things to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. Good times. This was also a good time. Yeah, thank you, Josh, for being on the pod. And
Oh, you're very
You got the
welcome.
crabs again.
it's very sad.
It's sad, but why am I laughing? I don't know.
Because
It's
it's
a very-
funny.
So
It's a very
absurd.
Josh. Sorry, not Josh. It's a very Isaac thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Isaac was 7 years old, he brought crabs home.
Whew, okay. Anyways, good chat. We can end the podcast now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
It was a fun conversation.
Yeah. Well,
It was fun.
can always come back some other time. If you know any other artists, we always have other artists on the pod. I keep saying on the pod, like this is the normal thing I say.
Not?
Huh?
Not?
I have not said the pod this much in a short period of time as I have today.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like when you start calling it the pod, it just starts to feel real. Like, oh, I'm really doing this. I'm a person that says this.
Right, you should
Says
say it
the
more.
pod.
You should take it even more seriously.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
the
manifesting
pod.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
the
pod.
pod.
It's the pod.
It's the pod.
You're
Duh,
trying-
we have a pod. Yeah,
Yeah, obviously.
obviously. So thanks.
You're welcome.
So thanks.
So
All right.
thanks.
Bye.
I don't know if we're supposed to hang up now.
Bye. Ta-ta.
Bye.